guys! Today it is time for my November wrap-up. I had quite the successful reading month. The first half of the month was actually not going that well. Like, it took me these 2 weeks to finish a 400-page book. But the second half of the month I've kind of just flew through some books. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna get into it. So the first book I want to talk about is actually a book that I finished in October, but I finished it after I filmed my wrap-up. And the book that I finished was Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson. And I actually enjoyed a big chunk of this. Like 2/3 I really loved. I was really hooked. But the end just kind of totally fell apart for me. I thought that the twist was just kind of boring and pretty predictable. It is kind of, or for me it was kind of the one thing that you basically expect from the beginning. And so I was just kind of really disappointed by that. I also felt like the main character was just really stupid. I just don't understand how she thought the things she was doing in the end were smart and safe. I just don't know how there were not like a million warning signs going off in her head. I might just be a paranoid person. I thought it was just kind of a convenient stupid. That was kind of just the amount of stupid this main character had to be in this particular part for the story to go the way it had to go. And that just kind of really annoyed me. I don't know, overall, even though I enjoyed it for a lot of the book, I thought in the end it was still kind of cliche and not very original. There was nothing in the end that really shocked me. And having the expectations from Gone Girl, where even though I found some parts of the story really predictable, I still finished this book with such a shock. I was kind of missing that, and I hate to compare it, but because they are in the same genre and I had these kind of same predictable feelings about Gone Girl as I had about this, I just felt like the ending just wasn't enough for me. So I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, so I guess that's really fine, but yeah. And the first book I finished in November that took me so long was Ever the Hunted by Erin Somerville. I received this book through NetGalley in exchange for an honest review, but this book is only gonna be released, I think, on December 27th, so the review for this is gonna go up somewhere around December 20th. I enjoyed this, but I just thought overall it was a bit too full of tropes. It didn't really have anything unique about it. It kind of felt like a mix between the Grace and Ingrium trilogy and the Courier's Daughter trilogy by C.J. Redwine. And so I enjoyed it because these were both trilogies that obviously I really enjoyed, and I kind of like these kinds of main characters and the way the story is going, but it was just kind of nothing new. There was the horrible I'm lying to you to save you trope. There was the horrible trope of a guy kind of always being interested in a girl but never really like showing her feelings until after like months of traveling and her being like dirty and all sweaty and worked up, she finally gets cleaned up and gets put in a dress. All of a sudden the boy is like, I want to kiss your face, I can't stop myself from kissing your face. That's one of my most hated tropes, and I'm like really tolerant with tropes, but I hate that trope so fucking much. I don't know why it exists. In general, there was just a lot of like, oh, I'm gonna ignore the feelings for a better cause, and it just got annoying at some part. I did really like the magic, even though it wasn't always consistent, I thought. I definitely overall felt interested enough to continue with the series. I think it's only gonna be a duology anyway, so, you know, that's fine for me. There was a cliffhanger at the end that I really liked, so I am definitely looking forward to the second book. I just thought this book was like, okay, it was pretty average. Then I finished The Chase by Virginia Baker. This is a novella that belongs to the Witch Hunter duology, which is one of my favorite duologies or series in general. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really nice. I think it's definitely a novella that you should read if you like the duology. I definitely feel like this story could be turned into a full-on novel, and I really started to appreciate the characters from this novella a lot more, so I'm gonna really look forward to rereading the series at some point because I feel like I just understand these characters more as well. Then I finished Leonce und Lena. This is a play by Georg Büchner. It's a really short play. I mean, this tiny book contains 2 of his plays, so it was like 30 pages and I just kind of read through it in one sitting. It is a play that my acting teacher kind of recommended. I mean, it was kind of funny. It wasn't really my kind of thing, but it still made me understand that Büchner is just a really genius writer. This was just kind of a parody of so many different things. I mean, it was just really, really cool, just not something where I'm personally like, oh, I enjoyed this so much, I'm gonna reread this or I'm gonna think about this a lot. It was just like, that was interesting to read about. So I gave Leonce and Lena my kind of average rating that I give a lot of classics of plays, which is 2.5 stars. Then I read Gemena by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the second book in the Illuminae files and I really enjoyed this one as well. I do have to say I didn't enjoy it quite as much as I enjoyed Illuminae. I still gave it 4 out of 5 stars, so I definitely still really, really enjoyed it. One part is just that I got a little bit used to the format. In Illuminae, I was just so blown away by this kind of, you know, multimedia format. So in this one, we obviously kind of already knew what to expect. I guess it just kind of wasn't able to blow me away as much as it did in Illuminae. Although there were a few new kind of things included in this that I really, really enjoyed. There were illustrations by Mary Lou, so that is pretty cool. I definitely enjoyed that a lot. I also liked the characters in this one more than I liked the main characters in Illuminae, so that was definitely a plus. I just felt a lot more attached to them. There were 2 things in particular I think that really made me not give this another 5 stars, but they are slightly spoilery, so I want to say it. I want to say it because it annoyed me so much. So if you haven't read Gemena yet and you really don't want to know anything about it, I would recommend you just skip this part until I'm not holding the book anymore. I hated that we got like 5 times, I think, where we thought someone was almost dead. I just hate when people use this to kind of shock us. I mean, it was kind of fine the first time with the cousin when we find out she's not actually dead, but then obviously we also had that one time where we thought Nick was dead, which actually wasn't really true, and then at the end we had this like whole fake video footage thing where we thought all 3 of them were dead. It's just a little bit too much, because in the end I actually thought, wow, they are really doing it. They are killing off all 3 characters to kind of, you know, push the story forward. I really actually enjoyed that. Of course it kind of made me sad, but I was like, okay, if this is what's necessary for the story, then I guess that's just it. I mean, the twist was kind of cool, but at this point I was just already so annoyed with the other 2 not actually being dead when they said they were dying. Ugh! It was too much. It was 5 times that we thought someone died and they actually haven't. So I found that really annoying. The part with Hannah and Nick in the parallel universes, where we just kind of read from both universes, I just kind of found that a little bit like boring, and I actually wasn't really interested in reading both of these points of views. I just thought that was kind of unnecessary. Next, I finally read 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Oh my god. This was the book I think I got when I won book battles, and that episode was in March, I want to say. So, I mean, this only took me over half a year, has been on so many of my fucking TBRs. Holy shit. Been wanting to read it for such a long time. I mean, I'm really happy I took my time with this because, you know, obviously the hype has kind of died down. Even with Crooked Kingdoms being released just a few weeks ago, I still didn't feel like I was like excited about this. I guess it also helped that I enjoyed the Grisha trilogy but wasn't like, oh my god, the best series ever, because I didn't have like super high expectations. I went into it with a really great mood. When I finally picked this up now, I was really like in the mood to read it, and I ended up really loving it. It was a lot more slow paced than I had expected, and I wasn't sure if I, you know, enjoyed that. I just kind of expected it to be a bit more like action adventure, and that was kind of the basic storyline. But this book is really all about the characters. It is such a character driven book, and at some point in the book there wasn't even like something very tragic happen. It was basically just a really simple conversation between 2 characters. I mean, I just had tears in my eyes from the conversation, and this is where I realized I love these characters so much I cannot give this any less than 5 stars, because I was just so into it. I was so invested in these characters. I loved how throughout the story we just kind of unraveled all of these background stories. I mean, some characters definitely fell a little flat, where we didn't get to know as much about them as for the other characters, but I feel like I have already started Crooked Kingdom, and I feel like this is what we're getting in the second book. But just overall, I thought it was so well done. I think if you really go into this book not expecting like a huge fantasy world and a heist story, but just kind of expect a very character-driven story that, you know, just takes place in a fantasy world, then you're definitely in a good place to start this book. I definitely recommend reading the Grisha trilogy before because there's not a lot of world building in this, and I was glad that I already knew the world and was just kind of able to dive into it. One thing I do want to say is I don't understand why this is YA. I really wish this was a adult book, just because I feel like the characters just do not seem like 17, 16. They don't seem like that at all. I don't understand why it is a YA book, quite honestly. I don't think that there's lots of themes in this that are kind of like YA-ish. I think this could just be an adult book with characters being like 25, 23, whatever. I think it would also make the relationships a lot better and more realistic. I mean, Kaz reads as if he's like 100 years old. Like, for all I know, he could be like some kind of wizard that has lived like for a million years. I think it's kind of weird that some of these characters are so young, and I get that that's kind of the world, that they just kind of go through so much things at that young age, but I still think if they were like 10 years older, it still would have had the same impact on me. And finally, I read Paulina and Friend by Rachel B. Glaser, and this was probably my most disappointing read of this year. I might have gone into it with too high expectations, but I was just kind of expecting a book about a female friendship, maybe kind of developing into something romantic, and what I got was just a story that was completely all over the place. Basically every single one of these characters was extremely unlikable, so annoying. There were unrealistic characters, unrealistic relationships between people. I did give it 1.5 out of 5 stars because I still kind of flew through it. But I think the main reason why I went through this so quickly is because I just kind of wanted to know where this is heading. I felt like there had to be something about this, something that, you know, just really kind of clicks with me and makes sense at the end. Something where I feel like there's a message. I mean, there wasn't. I just don't see a point. Even though this took place over like 10 years, there was no character development, and the ending was fucking ridiculous. I just don't see any sense in this book. I don't know what this is supposed to tell us. I really would not recommend this whatsoever. Also, I know that this is kind of mentioned as a LGBT read on Goodreads. Just don't. The representation in this is fucking ridiculous. It's just, nope, this was not a good book whatsoever. And this was my November wrap up. As I said, I'm really happy with this month, even with the kind of biggest disappointment of this year. I still just, you know, read a lot of pages actually. I'm almost finished with my Goodreads goal. I have already exceeded my kind of page goal of the year. It looks like 2016 is gonna be the year where I just read the most pages I have ever read in any year of my life, which blows my fucking mind. But I'm gonna get into like wrap up videos for the year a bit later this month or at the beginning of next month. I'm just excited about December, I'm excited about Christmas, I'm excited about winter. Let me know what your favorite book of this month was. I guess mine is pretty obviously Six of Crows, but also let me know if you maybe had something like I had this month with Paulina and Friend, something that was just really disappointing. And thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon. Bye!